impact on your immune system? Also, where do you get it from? And how do you know if you have enough? Well, unfortunately, I can't answer any of those questions. But luckily, Sophie Shan from Fuller Nutrition can. Sophie, first of all, will vitamin D help me get my words out properly? It's Fuller Nutrition. I mean, like, what was going on there? It won't help, will it?
Like it. I don't know about that.
No. All right, but what about... all right, let's start at the beginning. What is vitamin D?
So vitamin D is one of 13 vitamins that was discovered in the 1920s by a group of doctors. And it's actually one of 4 fat-soluble vitamins that get stored in the body. The difference between vitamin D and the other vitamins is that it can actually be synthesized by the body. And so the reason we call it the sunshine vitamin is because it reacts with something called 7-dehydrocholesterol in the skin. And this then gets converted and used by the body for an array, a huge array. It's really almost considered more significant than the other vitamins. Seriously? It almost acts more like a hormone. It's that essential to the body. And you mostly get it from the sunshine. It's a little bit limited diet-wise because it's mainly in fish and egg yolks. So obviously there's a real trend towards veganism. And so, there will be a proportion of people that struggle. And the research shows about 20% of us are deficient. But what is particularly 20%. But what is particularly concerning is that twice as many people, black people, seem to be dying of COVID. Now, they obviously, because of the colour of their skin living in the UK, have been found to be 80% deficient. So, and this is a real issue for black people living in the UK. You'll often find as they reach their later years that it's very disruptive to their hormonal system. Their endocrine system really suffers as a result. So vitamin D is really, really essential. But it's not as simple as just taking a supplement. I mean, a supplement is usful, but there are other things involved. So I don't know if you want me to go into that. Ask me some more questions.
Well, first of all, I mean, just touching on the point about skin and the darkness of skin, because I mean, there are a whole range of different skin colours. Is it right to think then that the darker your skin is naturally, the more vitamin D you would actually need?
Well, it's not so much that you need more than anybody else. It's just that the colour of your skin, you're normally, if you're black, living, near the equator, exposed to huge amounts of sun. So obviously in the autumn and winter and, with our kind of climate, it's literally the problem of not enough sun for that colour of skin. Exactly.
I was just thinking about like the sort of, because in the Channel Islands we've got Portuguese communities, Spanish, that sort of thing. It's not black skin, but it is a little bit darker. So I'm just wondering whether they need a little bit more or not. I mean,
they need more exposure to the sun. Absolutely, for sure, they need more exposure to the sun. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So how does it support the bodies? What sort of things does it help with? Is it the immune system that is really going to?
So what is really, really crucial with vitamin D is the way it affects mitochondria inside the cell, which is the tiny little organelles that produce ATP, which is energy. And this is what creates an optimal respiratory system. And the problem with COVID is you're impacting the lungs. The lungs is the area that gets attacked by this particular virus. So that's really, that's the nuts and bolts of it, is that, our mitochondria, those amazing little energy producing organelles. So that's what it really impacts. But of course it has, wide ranging effects. Now, if you're severely deficient in vitamin D, then you'll get your brittle bones and you'll get bones that don't form properly. So that's severe. And obviously that's not happening to the majority of people. But other, lesser things may be happening, which is poor wound healing, and yes, general immunity is down, energy levels. It has influences in so many different things. It's wide ranging.
So, Sophie, I mean, I guess that the starting point is, first of all, each and every one of us needs to know how much vitamin D we have in our bodies. Is that the sort of starting base? And how do you find that out?
Well, I don't know that is that helpful because it's so difficult. I mean, how do you work that out? Because the vitamin D is stored inside the body. So what I always come back to is, can you create an optimum environment in your body? I mean, we've talked about this before when I've been on before. Can you create an optimum environment in your body where you can actually store the vitamin D appropriately? Yes, there are lifestyle things. Can you get out in the sun? And of course, this time of year is so much easier, isn't it? We've got more daylight. We've got this incredible swathe of sunshine happening at the moment. And the spring and summer seem to be getting better each year, from what I can gather. Autumn and winter is really the time of struggle. But the other problem we have is, how optimal is our body functioning at the organ level? Because it's all very well taking a vitamin supplement, but if the liver isn't working properly, how can it store the vitamin D? And what we've got to remember is that the vitamin D3 that we're taking as a supplement or taking via our food has to be converted to active vitamin D. And that means very healthy liver, very healthy kidneys. And the research is also showing that the microbiome needs to be good as well. And that's the gut, the gut bacteria.
All right. Okay. So let's make this simple. Then we're coming out of winter. We've probably got the lowest amount of Vit D that we would have throughout the year. Coming back into the spring, hopefully we're getting out and about a little bit more. What do we need to do to create this system in our body to give it the best opportunity to switch into the vitamin D that kind of like energizes our body? What do you suggest?
Yeah. So obviously, as much exposure to the sunshine, and even if you work in an office all day, is, I always say to my clients, please get outside for your lunch break. Do this working through lunch, unless you're leaving work at 4 or 5 in the evening. Thank goodness it's lighter, much later now. But remember the sun diminishes by the end of the day. So for lunch breaks, this working through lunch is not healthy. It's get outside, and I don't really recommend a sunscreen for the first 20 minutes. So I know that the hottest time of the sun is between 12 and 3, but midday being the crucial time. But actually, we are so depleted in vitamin D right now that I would strongly recommend 20 minutes of no sunscreen on the face. Now, a lot of makeup that women are wearing has sunscreen in it. A lot of the moisturizers they're using has sunscreen in it, and it's not a good idea. And we're so covered up, aren't we? It's not like we're sunbathing on a beach or anything. Although, of course, fantastically, so many of my friends are doing sea swimming now, and getting out. The whole body's being exposed at times of the year that wouldn't normally be. So first of all, start with that. Try and get that sorted out, and then it's always coming back down to the basics of supporting those organs of the body, which is, as I always say, the hydration, making sure you're really well detoxified, that the liver is not having to cope with more than it ordinarily has to, which means it's going to be more optimum at storing vitamin D. And if the kidneys are working well, and now they're saying about the microbiome, if you're eating plenty of fruit and vegetables, having your nice piece of fish, if you're not vegan, obviously, and obviously we've just watched Seaspiracy, so we're having to be very careful about fish. God, you can't win really. But so it really is hard to navigate this, Eliza, but it is about creating an optimal environment to then be able to utilize the supplements. I don't want people thinking to go and just buy a supplement and just take a few thousand IUs of vitamin D is going to sort it. It most certainly won't. In fact, it can actually stress you, because if your liver is not in optimal shape, it will not be able to utilize that supplement, actually be a waste of your money. So sunshine first, lots of water, lots of that healthy eating, making sure that the digestive system works well, and all of that. And that's a good start. And then some vitamin D supplement, yes, of course, if you want to take some, but do take it. Vitamin D3 with vitamin K is the best way to take it.
All right. Okay, look, as always, it's a real pleasure having you on. I always feel that we're in such safe hands whenever you are with us. There we go. That's Sophie Shand there, the Guernsey nutritionist, just walking us through the benefits of vitamin D, but also very clearly saying that you need to get the rest of your body in good shape, in the best shape that you can do, in order for the vitamin D to do its magic. So look after your liver, look after your kidneys, and get outside and get some sunshine. That is the message from Sophie. As always, absolute magic. And you can find her on fullernutrition.com. She works out of Guernsey, but if you want to get in touch with her, she is, of course, available to all of us. There we are. If you want to find